Junior Volleyball Association presents Sideline Strategy, a volleyball podcast. Today's episode features Natalia Valentin-Anderson, who plays in the Pro Volleyball Federation as a setter for the Omaha Supernovas.
I started playing volleyball at age 11. I was actually a track athlete, and I soon realized I didn't like it because I hated going to practice and running all the time. So my mom told me, let's try volleyball. And from the moment that first practice happened, I knew I fell in love with the sport, and that's when I switched. I was an outside hitter at first, and very inconsistent outside hitter, if I should say. I could hit really well, maybe 2 balls, and then I would make 10 errors. Like, it was pretty bad. But I had a coach that switched me and said, your personality meets pretty well, or like matches pretty well with the setter position. So he switched me. About age 14, 15, I started playing with 21 years old in a recreational league, and that's when I was seen by professional teams in Puerto Rico and started getting offers to play pro at the league in Puerto Rico. But I always knew I wanted to get my degree first. I knew that my parents couldn't afford college, and so I had to get a scholarship. And just knowing that I was offered at such a young age to play professional, I knew I could come to the United States and get my degree first. So I continued to say no because it was illegal back then to get paid and to play pro before college. And that's when I got recruited by FIU. And then also I had an offer for Penn State. But my first recruiting school was FIU, so I went there. And since I didn't know English, I chose the school because there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people, and I knew the transition could be easier for me. I think looking back, I have to say that my role model was my mom. She always taught me everything about life, just her wisdom always, I get a little emotional. Her wisdom was always the most important thing for me growing up. And I'm just happy that I always listen, because you can have 3 different kids and say the same thing to 3 of them. And if nobody listens, then where does that go, So I'm just happy I did listen to her and her wisdom and advice. And I think I always looked up to her in the back of my mind, even though I fought with her a lot as a teenager. And I think with sports, a role model was always Kobe Bryant. I liked his mindset. I liked the way he played on really hard matches and how he was himself always. And it's sad to say that he's a man. Not that it's bad, but I wish I had a woman role model when it comes to sports. But back in the day, we really didn't have much to look up to. So I'm glad nowadays I could be one. Well, as you can tell, I'm really tall. Psych. I'm actually smaller for volleyball, so I think the one thing I overcame was always my height. And people always saying that I could never play pro, I could never play in the national team because I'm smaller and I'm undersized. But I think, again, my mom did a really good job of having me focus on the things that I needed to focus on and not think that because people were always commenting that, she never let it get to me and kind of like derail my mindset towards compete with yourself. What's meant for you will be. And I listened to her, and I think that's what I overcame, even though I wasn't aware of at the time. Definitely the part that I love the most is that I don't feel like I'm working. It's my passion. And since it's my passion, I get on the court and I forget everything, which is amazing. It's like the best thing about a job, That's what they say, right? Like, you don't work a day in your life if you love what you do. That's the perfect definition for me when it comes to volleyball. But I think also just giving back to the community and being a role model for young girls growing up and being undersized and seeing that it doesn't matter. Like, if you want something, you work for it with discipline, a lot of hard work, and you can make it, you can do it. So I'm going to say compete with yourself. I think nowadays there's so many distractions out there and so many expectations for you. But I think you need to look in and find what you want to do and just go for it. And the one thing that keeps me going always is just having God at, like, keeping God at his word. I'm very, I love following scripture, and I think that in hard times has helped me continue, which is the most important thing in life. Like, you are gonna go through struggles, but the one thing you can never do is give up, and I find that in Jesus.